Hello, my name is Anna, and this is my husband Carlos, and we're here to talk about the IXP initiative. This is a community-driven initiative, and we are looking to go to the mic. The IXP is a community-driven initiative, and we are looking to incentivize companies to hire new people. And as I was saying, me and my husband, we started this initiative a couple years ago. We work together. We both do Drupal, and we do Taekwondo as well as one of our hobbies. Haven't done it for a couple of years. What else? I'm originally from Costa Rica, and my husband is from Colombia. We live in Houston, Texas. That's all about us. And this is Mike Canelo. He's working with us from the beginning of this project, and he owns Drupal Easy and teaches Drupal for years. And that's how we met Mike. Carlos has a 23 years old boy that didn't have any idea what to do with his life, and we say why don't you do Drupal? And we pay for him a training, 3 months training with Mike, and then we tried to find a job for him, and it was rough. He had his high school degree and 3 months of training and no experience at all, and companies were looking for 2 or 3 years experienced people to build their clients' websites. So that's pretty much how all of this started. We're going to talk about a little bit of what happened in Lille, in DrupalCon Europe, how this idea that we have in our heads became an official initiative. Then we will do like a general overview, how do we define this project, and how we define the journey of these new people, how they should become full-time developers from scratch, and what we have accomplished until now. To finish up, we will talk about the current status and the status and how to collaborate. So, where we are coming from. This has been a group effort. It's kind of an idea in the minds and hearts of many people that we started a conversation of what should we do? We should do something, right? I was saying we were here in the United States and at DrupalCon trying to find a job for my stepson, and start talking with people and find many others that came into the DrupalCon event or came into Drupal to learn, and they were not able to find a job. Same in like South Africa and Asia and North Europe. We find the same issues everywhere. So in DrupalCon Lille, during the collaboration day, we sat down and we tried to build something, and we thought about this journey, how somebody that just learned about Drupal, he knows a little bit about site building, and maybe he knows about views or HTML and PHP or just JavaScript in general, how he can find a job. The goal of our program was give an incentive for companies to hire these people and give them their first real life experience. We thought about using official tools like jobs.drupal and the help of the Drupal Association, because we wanted to do this something that is official, not something that is for our company or Mike's company or any of the big companies. That's something that was for the whole community. And we were talking about how to make this translatable, how to make this open and flexible. So the idea that we came up with was, why don't we leverage the contribution system and give credits to the organizations for training people? And in this matter, we found a win-win-win situation. The new people, the new Drupalists, will find an open door. The companies will find somebody that can do a small task inside of the company, and it has this like guidance to get or to become a senior developer that were not easy to find. And at that point, and the community will also win because we have more people that knows how to contribute and know how do we work together. Carlos.
Okay. I was taking a picture. So the first thing that we did, something that I forgot to tell, IXP means inexperienced, and it just became like an easy way to say people that is inexperienced. So when we took my son to DrupalCon Pittsburgh and went to the job fair, we realized like the journey of a new developer through Drupal has changed. So we started by trying to define that journey as we see it. So at the beginning, or you know, when probably we all found Drupal, we can find Drupal, we can learn Drupal, then we practice in some websites, you know, your dad's website, your uncle, the convenience store, just a hobby website. You get kind of good, then you find company work, and you're good. But in this new world, you know, where we lost, that we're trying to recover with Drupal CMS, which I think was a fantastic pivoting on Drupal, going back to the basics. Before that, you don't have that kind of beginning experience that you can do on your own, right? At the same time that you're eating, because you need money for that, or paying your rent, or doing something productive. So in the reality, right now, what we define or we identified as a journey of the IXP, as an experienced person, as it should work within the initiative, is they find Drupal, they learn Drupal. They go to Drupal Easy and take my class, they go to Debug Academy, they just go to Drupal.org and they make sense of the Drupal.org documentation that we know needs a lot of work. They learn Drupal, but they cannot find a job. So they became what we call an IXP, an inexperienced person. So the initiative was trying to look for companies to get these people, IXPs, give them company work. It can be internal. I mean, the scope of the initiative is purposely very, very narrow, so everybody can do it on their own. And after having company work, some requirements, that is basically 160 hours of paid work, 1 hour of mentorship per 10 hours work, at least. It has to be paid, and it has to contribute to Drupal, at least 3 contributions that the IXP should have at the end of the journey, and a blog post from the IXP, just kind of telling the story, just to make sure nobody's gaming the system, and they actually contribute. The company gets contrib credit. And of course, Drupal gains an experienced developer that now can be put in a project and be a junior. So this is not a training journey, because that is something that happened a lot when we went to do scoping or trying to find the scope of the Drupal IXP initiative. We focus on just defining what are the skills of an IXP. You know, we want an IXP to already know how to create a field, but probably they don't have experience on Agile or actually working on a project. So what were those skills? How to connect companies in IXP. So we wanted to use just Drupal.org to make it official as part of Drupal. Define some basic conditions of the engagement, as I mentioned, the 160 hours, mentorship, Mike's going to talk a little bit more about that, I believe. And we were thinking about a set of requirements from the future, the junior dev. We ended up not doing that because basically what we want the company is to give them experience so they can be put in a project after the initiative. And of course, a reward for the hiring organization. And this was very important. Companies stopped training people. Some of them are doing it again, I found out, but they kind of do it in secret. But in countries like Colombia, where we are from, in Latin America, in Asia, companies actually stop training people unless they are asked to. Like in Colombia, every company has to have 2 interns, one each semester from SENA, which is an institution for education, and the government makes you have one of them. But they stop because they train somebody in a country where the minimum salary is $300 a month. They go train somebody, and then an American company comes and offer $25, $40 an hour, and they lose the developer. So the price of training was the developer, and it wasn't really the developer. So I had friends, Seed from Colombia, which is one of the companies participating, that trained a lot of people, and they had to stop because it was like, we train them, we invest a lot of time, and then they leave because we cannot pay those prices. So we wanted to use the contribution system, which, as Mike called it, is the only currency we have, and that is true. When we talk about the IXP in the past and even in the future, we always got like a lot of people talking about trainings and other things that we had to say no to. So we heard about Drupal has to improve and be easier for new contributors. Yes, but that's not part of the IXP initiative. People started talking about learning how to collaborate and work together and Drupal and move faster. That's also not part of the initiative. Other people talk about the documentation and how bad it is. And again, that's not part. We wanted to focus on the main stuff. It's not a training, it's not a case study, and it's not certifications. We have some other ideas for certifications that I am starting to shape, and it's like, when I came to the States, I came as a bilingual teacher, and I learned that when they do standardized tests, they start with what is called knowledge and skills. So Texas have the Texas knowledge and skills, which is basically first grade student math should be able to count to 100. That's a knowledge and skill. So I want to create that for Drupal, but that will be a part of the IXP. So where are we right now?
The captioning is having a great time with your accent. It's
been
very entertaining.
I can't imagine.
I'm the only one paying attention, but it's R-rated, that's for sure. Yeah. So don't listen to what I'm saying. Just go watch what Carlos has already said. It's been great. So where are we now? We've launched. So that was kind of our goal all along. Was we really wanted to make sure that we kept the scope tight so that we could launch and get something going. It's a big reason why we said no to a lot of things, and we really wanted to be able to launch with a very narrow focus so that we can learn things, because we knew that once we launched, we'd learn like where we're doing things right, where we're not, how this might be used. So Happy Report relaunched right around DrupalCon Atlanta. Our main thing right now is we need more hiring organizations. It is possible right now for a hiring organization to post a job and to work with us to go through the process. We have 7 hiring organizations signed up so far, so that's good. We do know that we need to do a better job at promoting and reaching out to these hiring organizations. Actually, one of the things the 3 of us are going to do this week is come up with a little bit more of a structured plan to hopefully improve our outreach. The process of doing a hiring organization is number 1, to understand the requirements. And I'm just going to show, I have these other tabs open. So on Drupal.org/IXP. There's a whole section of pages here about the IXP program, but specifically for hiring organizations, like what are the requirements? What does it take to hire an IXP? What are the rewards? What's the process look like? So that's really step one for hiring organizations, is just to kind of learn about, what does that actually mean? Once an organization decides that's something that they want to do, we have a Drupal-IXP.site all set up where you can go and you basically have to register, your organization has to register, and then any mentors within your organization for the IXPs have to be part of the site as well. And we are mainly using this site for the reporting and tracking needs. There is a reporting requirement where both the organization and the IXP have to check in once periodically, I'll say, just so that we make sure things are staying on track, that the IXP is being supported according to the requirements laid out in the program, the mentoring requirements, the contribution requirements. So we actually tried to make the reporting requirements as easy as possible. The forms are relatively simple, but they are requirements because we are offering a pretty big reward at the end of things. So once you agree to the terms and you register on Drupal-IXP.site, you will receive a coupon code for jobs.drupal.org, where you can post IXP positions. And there are currently no positions. There have been, and they're gone. they go pretty quickly. I'm going to talk about one thing we've learned about that in a few minutes. So again, we don't want to make the process too onerous. We want to make it as streamlined as possible, but we also are very careful about the integrity of the program, because it is a bucket load of credits that organizations will receive upon successful completion, and we cannot let that be gamed. Like, we have to make sure that these are fully executed, not agreements, engagements is the word I'm struggling for there. Because upon successful completion, the organization gets 250 contribution credits. Contribution credits have been valued at $100 each. So that's $25,000 worth of contribution credits. A core contribution is worth 10. So this is worth 25 meaty core contributions. This is not a trivial number of contribution credits. This number of contribution credits will get you into the lowest tier of Drupal Certified Partner Program. So by hiring one IXP and completing that engagement, your organization is automatically eligible for that lowest tier. So definitely not a trivial amount, and quite honestly, more than we expected to get, we'll just say. We were pleasantly surprised when the offer was made and very quickly said, yes, thank you, and quit the Zoom call before anybody could change their mind. Now, if you're an inexperienced Drupal developer, the bad news is there's no open positions. We need more hiring organizations. That's really all I can say about that. As we get more hiring organizations and more of those jobs are posted, we are working with the association. They have made some changes to jobs.drupal.org. We've got our own section at the URL on the screen there. So it goes back to what Carlos was saying. We wanted to leverage the tools that the community had. We didn't want to have to reinvent anything. We knew that we wanted jobs to be on jobs.drupal.org. We knew we wanted to use contribution credits, and thankfully the DA was very accommodating on both those fronts. We're always looking for volunteers to help manage the workflows, and those workflows being, checking the reports as they come in, making sure the hiring organizations have the information they need, making sure the reports are being reviewed and acted upon if necessary, helping with promotion, And a big part of what we're, for the next year, I feel, is as these first engagements are completed, talking to the hiring organization, talking to the IXP, and learning what worked and what didn't work, and then taking that information and feeding that back to future hiring organizations so that we can provide a more structured idea, like thinking about being a hiring organization but not sure what an IXP could do for you. Well, here's 17 ideas. Here's a structured plan for 200 hours of paid work for that IXP. That's the kind of documentation and case studies and best practices that we want to learn and kind of circle back out. So I did actually, you guys were responsible for reminding me about something I had to say on this slide, so I'm very disappointed in both of you. I do want to say one thing we've learned is that the majority of the positions, the majority of our hiring organizations have come to us and said, I already have someone identified for the role, so I don't actually need to post it on jobs.drupal.org. Can I still participate in the program? And we're like, yes, if you are hiring an IXP that meets the requirements, and the main requirement is that person must have less than 3 months of paid Drupal experience, right? So if they've been working as a Drupal developer for 6 months somewhere, they're not eligible for the program. Our main goal is to get folks that first meaningful experience. So whether 0 experience or 1 month experience, as long as that requirement is met, as long as the reporting requirements are met, they're eligible for the program. So we have learned, I think it definitely took me by surprise, but the vast majority of the hiring organizations have come to us with their IXP already. Say, this is the person we want to hire. So, we've worked with them, and they're now part of the program. But we've already talked, I don't know if it was yesterday or today we talked about it, but we need to change our documentation a little bit for hiring organizations, basically saying there's 2 ways to slot into the program. One of them is kind of bring your own IXP, and the other one is we'll help you find an IXP through jobs.drupal.org. So how to collaborate? We're everywhere that you expect us to be. So we're on Slack, IXP-Fellowship. We have issue queue at drupal.org/project/IXP. Also drupal.org/IXP, where all of kind of our public-facing information is. We are looking for, like any other Drupal project, technical and non-technical help. Help writing case studies, help writing best practices, help just interviewing hiring organizations, interviewing IXPs after engagements and finding out what worked, what didn't work, and then getting that information back out into our public-facing areas for future hiring organizations. Carlos and I and Lou do get to a lot of events, but we're not at every event. So for events that we don't attend, we would love for other folks to help spread the word about the IXP and literally give this presentation. So if you're interested in helping in any way, just get in touch, and we will find a role that fits your skills, your comfort zone, and your bandwidth. And I think that's it. Thank you. So if there's any questions, we're happy to entertain them. Otherwise, we'll be first in line for lunch. So, all right. Very good. All right, well, you know how to find us. We'll be around, so corner us if you have any questions. We good? Did I miss anything?
No, yeah, you covered the more important part that I didn't remind you because I wanted to mention it, that, yeah, we found out that people, it's actually, okay, so I've been training this person, can they be part of IXP? And it's actually, we have companies in Uruguay and Colombia that kind of we're trying to start training because everybody's realizing we don't have developers, so we need new ones. And they're just taking advantage of the credit. Uruguay, not this one, another Uruguayan company, we have another one out there. They actually have 2 engagements going right now. So we actually have the first 3 cases, 2 from Uruguay, 1 from Digital Polygon, that I need to talk to them. Was created.
The Palantir one has started as well. Palantir's one has started as well.
With Palantir. But like Palantir has done internships with Drupal Easy for a while. They're now taking advantage of the 250 credits. I mean, you can train up to, and I believe that's what we miss. You can do up to 4 IXPs a year.
Yeah.
We're not going to allow more than
There's
that.
an upper limit, yeah.
So 4 is 1,000 credits, which actually gets you into gold.
Yeah, certified gold partner. Yep.
Certified gold partner for the Drupal Association. If you try to get credits, like I am doing it with Falsera, I have like a Drupal ambassador, I go to events, I have a couple of contribution credits, and I merely made it like 50. So you can imagine how hard it is to get 250. Now you can get 250 and train somebody and provide a new developer for Drupal. And I think the other important part that I want to repeat is we are requiring, as part of the process, 3 contributions. And we're talking about meaningful contributions. And it's not like there are not valid contributions, but we all know that nowadays we get in an issue that, yes, it happens, kind of common, waiting for a contribution credit, like you report a problem and the next day you have like 3 or 4 comments like, oh yes, that's not a contribution. I mean,
Well, it is a contribution, it's just not a meaningful in our definition.
In our definition,
Yes.
we will expect, yeah, it happens, and it also happens when I do this, I have to have the
Right.
module enabled, this is the process, I reproduce it. That is meaningful.
Right.
So we are actually requiring that the training is not only agile, Git workflow, company work, working with a team is also contributing to Drupal. So I just wanted to mention that the IXP is also trying to increase that participation.
All right, super duper. All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey, don't forget to press the button.